What are we discussing on today's Locked On Diamondbacks podcast? The D-backs no showing in game 2 of the series against the Toronto Blue Jays, but can Ryne Nelson salvage the series in the finale?
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You're listening to who? The always charismatic host of this podcast, Millard Thomas, multimedia journalist and a graphic designer. So please go check out my website, millardthomas24.myportfolio.com. On there, you can see all my latest work, from my packages to my articles to my photos and my graphic design. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. On today's Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, we're going to be discussing the D-backs no showing in game 2 and really the whole series against the Toronto Blue Jays. Arizona looking to replicate 2024, which means a second half, explosion if they want to get in the wild card mix. We'll discuss that in segment number 2. And then can Ryne Nelson give us the length and salvage this series in the finale? We'll discuss all that on today's podcast. But first, I want to say, as always, thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I would not be able to do this podcast without you, my loyal listeners, sharing, subscribing, reviewing, doing all that so I could do this podcast for you. Thank you. It's free. It's available on all platforms, so please continue to tell your friends. One of those platforms is YouTube. Please hit subscribe to Locked On Diamondbacks on YouTube. It's an interactive show. Try to go live on YouTube Sunday through Thursday after D-backs games. If you watch it live, drop a comment down in the YouTube section. I'll read it live on air. It's an interactive show. We'll go back and forth. We'll have a conversation, so please come join. Again, just hit the little subscribe button or hit that bell icon so you get notified when I go live. Also follow me on social media because I always tweet out before I go live at Creator Thomas 24 for the personal account, or look up Locked On Diamondbacks, both Twitter and Instagram for the podcast handle. But now let's get into the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. All right, back here on the Locked On D-backs podcast. Let's talk about the D-backs no showing in game number 2 and no showing in this series so far, because D-backs look like they were on a roll to start the month of June. You started the month with a win, then you went sweep, then you got swept, but then you went sweep, and then you beat the San Diego Padres. You started the month with 9 wins, but now you've lost 3 straight games, and game 2 of this series against the Toronto Blue Jays, just more of a microcosm of what has been wrong with the D-backs this season, which has been a lack of consistency. We've talked about this D-backs team being resilient, and I thought after that walk-off loss last night, the D-backs were going to come into game number 2, guns a-blazing, maybe the offense was going to have a big explosion, put 6-7 runs on the board. Maybe Erod was going to go out there and dominate. No. None of that happened for the D-backs. Instead, it was almost the exact opposite of everything. Erod didn't have a blow-up start, but it wasn't his best start. And in the end, D-backs look lifeless in this game. Corbin Carroll leaves with injury. And it just feels like every time the D-backs take a step forward, they end up taking 2 steps back. And the lack of consistency from this team has been so frustrating. And this game was just another microcosm of what has been so wrong with the D-backs this season. Erod dancing in and out of trouble all game long, getting the bases loaded, walking guys, giving up contact. Did he do a good job of limiting the damage? Yes, he did do a good job of escaping the jams he put himself in. So you do have to give him, I guess, a little bit of credit, right? He started a fire, then he put it out. So I guess he deserves credit for that. But was it a great Erod start? I don't think I would go that far, right? Yes, he gave up 1 earned run, but what the D-backs really needed, and what we talked about in the preview for this game, the D-backs needed length. This bullpen is bad, and what the D-backs do not need is a pitcher going 5 innings and then relying on the last 4 innings from this D-backs pen, because we just do not have enough trustworthy guys to get those outs. And even though Erod only allowed 1 earned run, He only went 4 2/3 innings pitched, 98 pitches, and it doesn't even get you a full 5 innings of baseball. That is one huge reason why the D-backs lost tonight, because their starter couldn't give them length, had to turn the ball over to this terrible bullpen. Once I see Taylor Scott come into the game, I'm already changing the channel, because unless the D-backs have an 8-run lead with Taylor Scott coming in the game, we're going to lose every single time. If it's within 3 runs, either the D-backs are up or the D-backs are down. The D-backs are up 3 runs, could kiss that lead goodbye. It's either going to be a tie game or down a run. If we're down 3 runs with Taylor Scott coming into the game, forget about it. We're about to be down 8 runs. Taylor Scott has, I don't want to be too mean, actually. I was about to go really in. I'm not going to be too mean. Taylor Scott is just not good, guys. He is a journeyman pitcher who has not been good throughout his career, and these kind of guys frustrate me. When you look at his career and you see his career 5-year array, he's been on 18 different teams. No one has wanted this guy, but yet the D-backs pick him up when he's 33 years old, coming off a season where he was already bad in Houston earlier this year. Is there no one in our minor league system who we think is better than Taylor Scott? I find it hard to believe. There's not one guy who has more talent or potential or upside, or at least one pitch better than what Taylor Scott can throw, because it's straight meatballs batting practice when Taylor Scott is on the mound. And these Toronto Blue Jays hitters, they look so comfortable at the plate when Taylor Scott was pitching. So frustrating to see. He was terrible tonight. Kevin Ginkel just continues to look absolutely lost, and he is a major X factor in this D-backs bullpen, because this D-backs team is not going to go anywhere if Kevin Ginkel just straight up sucks. We need that 8th inning setup man, dominant guy that's been coming out the pen for the D-backs the last couple of years. The kind of guy that when he came in the game the last 2-3 seasons, if we had a lead entering the 8th, I at least felt like that 8th inning shut down. I didn't always know who was going to be in the 9th inning, right? It could be a Paul Sewald. It could be a Justin Martinez. It could be someone even worse than a Paul Sewald. You just never know. And so once we got the ball to the 8th inning with the lead, I always felt like if the got to Kevin Ginkel, he was going to have a shutdown inning and get the ball to whoever was closing in the 9th. Right now, that's just not the case. Kevin Ginkel is just completely lost out there. You look at his StatCast numbers this year, the slider has still been effective, but the 4-seamer that he throws 43% of the time, entering tonight, he had over a 400 average allowed on that fastball, plus over a 800 slug allowed on that fastball as well. His sinker has been crushed this year. Like, we need prime Kevin Ginkel for this D-backs team to have any chance, because he's so good, so talented, but this year he's been an absolute disaster. And we can't let the offense off the hook either. Eric Lauer, a long reliever, a swingman pitcher, just went out there and dominated this D-backs offense. 8 strikeouts in 5 innings pitched, only threw 75 pitches. This entire pitching staff for the Blue Jays just completely shut down Arizona in this game. Every phase was gross to see, from the starters to the bullpen to the offense. And to add insult to injury, Corbin Carroll got hit on the hand and he had to leave the game as well. You could hear his scream through the broadcast. Not something you want to see. Every time this D-backs team takes a step forward, it feels like they take 2 steps back. Now on a 3-game losing streak, and we're praying Ryne Nelson can salvage this series in the finale and give this D-backs some length. We'll discuss his start in segment number 3. But before we get into that topic, let's discuss the D-backs trying to replicate their second half in 2024 in segment number 2. Hey, but first, I want to talk to you guys about Trade Coffee, because let's be real, coffee isn't just a drink, it's a ritual, a lifeline, the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. And if that's essential, why settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the US, delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour over purist, they've got a roast you'll love. I took the trades quiz. It only took a minute, and the first bag they sent me was spot on. It's like they knew my personality. It's like they knew exactly what I liked, and they sent me a great item because of their quiz. And so go to drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb, take the quiz, get an item. They're going to match it to your personality. It's absolutely perfect. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's trade.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. All right, back here on the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. Now let's discuss the D-backs looking to replicate their 2024 season, essentially. The D-backs are basically following their same formula from last year, and I don't know why. We saw their formula last year. It led to a really fun season, right? The second half, I was saying D-backs are going to the playoffs. D-backs are going deep in the postseason. D-backs are going back to the World Series. I really felt like the 2024 D-backs, they made it to the playoffs. They could have made some real noise. But they won 89 games, and all came down to tiebreakers on the final day. And the D-backs sadly lost out. You look at 2025 now, and the D-backs look to do the same thing. Start the first half slow like last year, add at the deadline, and then pray you have a big second half explosion where you beat out the other teams in the wild card race. Do the D-backs have the talent to do it? Yes, but I think it's kind of crazy for the D-backs to wait till the deadline before pulling the trigger on any moves. Like, why are we following the formula from last year? Last year, we waited to the deadline, and maybe you can make the argument it was too little too late. Maybe we should have acquired AJ Puck a couple weeks earlier, got Josh Bell a couple weeks earlier. We know the D-backs bullpen was really bad last season as well. I know bullpen arms are hard to get. I know relievers are hard to get. Everyone wants a back-end arm, high leverage reliever with high velocity. Like, that is what every team wants for their pen. But if I'm the D-backs, we need it more than a lot of other teams, and we're in a desperate situation because we're already a few games back of the wild card. We have probably the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball, and we have a payroll of guys who are making a lot of money, but unfortunately, a lot of these guys could be free agents at the end of the year. So this could be a whole different D-backs team by 2026 if we don't make the postseason in 2025. And so I don't want us to just sit on our hands until the MLB trade deadline. If there's a good deal out there that we can make before the MLB trade deadline, I think the D-backs should do that because they are currently in the wild card race. They're in the mix despite their loss today. I mean, it's not pretty. They're going to have to make up some ground, get hot, but the D-backs are still technically in the wild card mix, which is crazy to say because they are back to being a below 500 team. But at the time of me recording this podcast, before the start of the Padres-Dodgers game, the D-backs are 3.5 games back. Maybe they're 4 games back after that game, but they're still in the wild card mix right now. But we know it can spiral out of control pretty quickly when you have a bullpen this bad. We saw in game number 1 how quickly a bullpen can just blow your game. We saw in game number 2 today how a bullpen can just blow open the game for the other team. And so for the D-backs, you don't want to just trust in a second half, or if you're the D-backs, you don't want to just trust that we're going to hold the fort until the trade deadline because I think that's a little bit delusional. The only silver lining you have in that theory is the fact that after the Blue Jays, you face a lot of crappy teams. You face the Rockies, you face the White Sox, you face the Miami Marlins to end the month of June. That is your only silver lining or your only excuse as to why you're going to wait to pull the trigger because you handle your business against those teams and you're going to look fine in the standings. But if you also lose the finale against the Blue Jays, you're on a 4-game losing streak, and then let's say you lose the first game of the next series against the Rockies, all of a sudden it's 5-game losing streak. All of a sudden you're a couple games below 500, and now you're like 5 games back of the wild card. If there is a deal that the D-backs can make to make themselves better right now, why would the D-backs not do it? I would much rather make a deal now early in the trade season, get aggressive with the trade market early instead of just waiting for these other big market teams and these other teams in the playoff race before they really get in the market as well. If you get in early, you have more options to choose from, right? You have the pick of the litter. You're the first one to make the move. You get to go out there, pick up the phone, and choose who you want. Yes, the GM might say no, but at least you could be the first one to call and try to make the deal. The other reason is you can set the price for the market. Until there's a deal that's been made, I guess the Devers deal has been made, but considering Devers was a salary dump, maybe it's a little bit easier to get stars this trade deadline around. But if you're the D-backs, you make the first move, you're now setting the market. You're now setting the price for everyone else. Why not do that? I would much rather see the D-backs go out there and get someone that they want early, even if they overpay a little bit, instead of just waiting for the leftovers and the scraps after everyone else has got their guys. I'm not convinced right now, when looking at the D-backs farm system, that they have any stars. Like, I like Jordan Lawler. I think he's very good, but I can't deny from what we've seen on the major league level, it's not like it's been very impressive. Drew Jones has not been the best prospect either. I don't know about the rest of the D-backs farm system. There's some guys that we like the Ryan Walschmidts, right? The Slade Caldwells. Like, there's some other interesting prospects, but are any of those guys Corbin Carroll? Are any of those guys like franchise-changing players? I'm not convinced. I'm not sure about that. I'm not saying I would trade Jordan Lawler, but I'm also not saying I wouldn't. If the deal is right, why not? If there's like a Garrett Crochet type deal where you could get back a starter in his early to mid-20s who's a stud like Crochet, and it takes a Jordan Lawler, maybe another prospect or two, I would do it. If a guy like Paul Skeens was available and it took Lawler, Drew Jones, and Human Lin or whoever, I would do that deal. Paul Skeens is a absolute tank. He's young. I'm not saying that that deal is even on the table. I don't think the Pirates would do that deal, but if there was a deal like that, I would take it in a heartbeat. D-backs could use another young starter in their rotation, not just bullpen help, but if you could also look long-term, big picture, I mean, you got Burns on Tommy John. Erod is old. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly could both be gone by the end of next season. I mean, they're going to be free agents at the end of this season, so they could be gone for next year. D-backs could use another young starter, especially if Fott continues to struggle. Like, is Ryne Nelson your best young starter now? I don't know, but I would not be afraid to trade Jordan Lawler, a top prospect, in a deal for a young starting pitcher. But I don't think that's going to happen, at least at this deadline. It looks like the D-backs, they're going to look to add talent for their immediate needs, which is mostly the bullpen. D-backs are looking to add an infusion of talent at the deadline, plus have a second half explosion like they did last year. Last year, it was Corbin Carroll, Eugenio Suarez, Jake McCarthy, and pretty much the whole lineup that took off in the second half of the season. This year, the same thing needs to happen, but for the rotation. The lineup I'm not concerned about, but Zach Gallens, the Erods, the Brendan Fotts, those guys need to take off in the second half of the season. And so we're looking at the D-backs right now, and they're looking to replicate their 2024 season. They're looking to add talent at the deadline, and they're looking for that second half explosion. I'm just questioning why the D-backs are following a formula that didn't work out for them in 2024. Now we'll discuss if Ryne Nelson can salvage the series in segment number 3. But first, I want to talk to you guys about game time, because have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop closer you get to first pitch. They've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and the lowest price guarantee that takes the worrying out of buying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Locked On MLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guarantee. All right, back here on the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. And now let's discuss Ryne Nelson and if he can salvage this D-back series and give us some length, because we have not been getting length from our starters in the series, and it is so sad to see. Erod gave us no length in the game today, and in game number 1 we also got no length from our starter, and it has been a trend for the D-backs recently, which has not been very good, because when you have a bullpen this bad, you need length. Going 5 innings in game number 1, not good enough. Erod, not even finishing 5 innings in game number 2, not good enough. And now you look at the bullpen, we've seen the whole bullpen through the first 2 games of this series. You know what that means? Ryne Nelson, whether he likes it or not, he's probably going to go out there and go deep in the game. Now, does that mean he's going to go 7 innings? I don't know about that, but I would expect Ryne Nelson, whose season high this year is 84 pitches thrown, I would expect him to probably throw more than that tomorrow. I would expect Ryne Nelson, even if he gives up 6 earned runs in the first couple innings of the ball game, they'll probably keep him out there because his bullpen has been so thin, overutilized the first couple games of the series. Ryne Nelson, whether he likes it or not, is going to have to go out there and stand on his own 2 feet. Whether he's dominant or whether he's terrible, he's probably going to have to do a lot of pitching tomorrow. And I would like to believe Ryne Nelson is going to be just fine for the Arizona Diamondbacks, because like we've been talking a lot on this podcast, you can make a real argument. Ryne Nelson has been the best D-back starter for over a year now. Yes, it sounds crazy, but you can go back all the way to last July. It is currently mid-June. So basically over the last calendar year, there's a statistical argument for Ryne Nelson that he's been the best D-back starter. In his last 100 innings pitched, he's got about a 3.4 ERA, about a 20% K rate, and he's just been good out there. Giving the D-backs length, having some quality starts. He can't always give us length because a lot of times he's still going in and out the bullpen. Is he a long reliever? Is he a swingman? Is he finishing games? We just don't know. And so there are a lot of starts where he just goes like 5 innings and a couple earned runs because that's the most that Torey Lovullo would allow him to do. But I think in this finale, we're going to see the full Ryne Nelson. He's been pitching a lot more recently, getting closer to averaging around 80 pitches thrown his last few starts. I think he's looked good this season. Ryne Nelson is someone who I like a lot, someone who's really making a name for himself in this rotation. And we always talk about Brandon Pfaadt being the future of this D-backs rotation, but maybe it's Ryne Nelson. Maybe it's not Brandon Pfaadt. Maybe Ryne Nelson, who just doubles down on his strengths. He is a guy that wants to throw hard. He does not make any bones about it, and that's what he does. He throws a 4-seamer 60% of the time. He throws a cutter 13% of the time. You're going to get heat with Ryne Nelson, and this season it's worked out. His fastball has been his most effective pitch in 2025. 19% put away, 208 average allowed. He's been very good throwing that pitch this season, and it's the pitch he wants to throw more than any other pitch, averaging 96 on it as well. And so the numbers are very good for Ryne Nelson in 2025. I would like to believe in the finale, he's going to step up and deliver a good start for the D-backs. The only question is, will the offense join him? Because the offense has been a slog so far through the first couple games of this series. They scored 4 runs in game number 1. They only scored a couple runs tonight, and it's like we need a bigger offensive showing if the D-backs are going to win this game. They have not come through with the runners in scoring position in this series. Situational hitting has been a big problem for them in Toronto so far. They were 3 for 12 runners in scoring position in game 1, 0 for 6 in game number 2. And it's like, where's the offense? Where we have a great lineup. I like the construction of what Torey Lovullo has been throwing out there recently. Maybe it would be nice to see less Pavin Smith, but for the most part, he's not doing a bad job in terms of the lineup construction. I can't blame Torey Lovullo there. The guys just need to produce. If Marte is going to go 0 for 3, if Suarez is going to go 0 for 4, if Perdomo is going to go 0 for 4, who's been in a slump, the D-backs are going to struggle to score runs. And so we're going to need those guys to start playing better and get going. Corbin Carroll may not be in the lineup in game number 2. And maybe that's for the best. I don't want to see him go down with injury, but Corbin Carroll's a guy this season where he is just starting to strike out a lot more, and I don't like to see it. This season, he's been way more aggressive at the plate, higher swing percentage at balls outside the strike zone as well. All that is leading to a lower contact percentage this season for Corbin Carroll. Now, maybe don't care about contact percentage because when he does make contact, the ball is flying off his bat. The hard contact numbers are better than ever for Corbin Carroll. Got 20 plus bombs before the All-Star break. So the power is there. I would just like to see less hacking from Corbin Carroll. It just feels like he goes up there and he's like, I'm going to swing away at as many pitches that I see. He still has a good walk rate, but I don't feel like he has a mastery of the strike zone. Like when I watch a Geraldo Perdomo, whether he strikes out or not, it feels like he's in complete control of the strike zone and what he wants to swing at. Corbin Carroll, it feels like you still fool him. It feels like you throw high heat, he'll go chase it. Corbin Carroll, I want to see him be a little bit more selective. I want him to pick his spots. I want him to say, if I see a pitch in this zone, I'm going to swing and I'm going to crush it. But if I see a pitch in that zone, I'm going to stay off because I know if I try to swing at it, it's just not going to be very effective. And I wish Corbin Carroll knew his strengths and weaknesses a little bit more at the plate. Want to see him work on his plate discipline a little bit more. Again, it's mostly just the striking out because his walk rate is good. I just need him to go to that Perdomo lesson of plate discipline, the Perdomo school of plate discipline, because he's so elite, in those situations. And for Corbin Carroll, he's also hasn't been stealing a ton recently. So maybe this is good. He tweaked his hamstring recently. Maybe this is good to give him a little bit of rest. He has 1 steal in his last 22 games. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise for Corbin Carroll to get him some rest so he could come back, get the hammy healthy, get the body healthy, and then really start to take off offensively, because I still think there's more in the Corbin Carroll tank. Maybe not from a power standpoint, but from an overall just contact ability, higher average stuff, just creating more chaos, creating more opportunities with your legs is not really something he's done in 2025. So maybe this rest will be will be kind of good for Corbin Carroll, because we haven't really seen him use his speed to apply pressure in 2025. But this game tomorrow is going to come down to whether or not Ryne Nelson can give the D-backs length and save the bullpen. And I would like to believe Ryne Nelson can get the job done. Now, that's it for this edition of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Come back tomorrow for more Diamondbacks news coverage and insight. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Dose.